Hey dudes, welcome back to another episode of our Rhomas Men's Team podcast. You are about to listen to one of our prior team meetings. If you ever want to join one of our live sessions that we have every Monday and Friday, head over to rhomas.com. That's RHOMAS.com and put your email in and we will send you a live link every time we record. We generally record on Mondays and Fridays. So if you ever want to be on the actual podcast, like we bring men up all the time to talk about their goals, talk about their obstacles, etc., head over to rhomas.com. And then also, if you want to help support the channel grow and also have access to exclusive content, book reviews, extra whiteboard sessions, etc., and some coaching sessions, head over to patreon.com and support us. We would love it. But if not, no biggie. We'll see you on the live sessions. Later, dudes. Enjoy this podcast.
We are live and recording. I got Wes. I thought I'd have to do it myself. Wes is an absolute warrior, dude. He's sick. And here he is in his car. He's quarantining in his car by himself for 2 weeks. So why the car?
Yeah,
are you out? You just can't go in the office? Where are you?
Yeah, I'm in between. I'm about to hit up the office, but because I got up late, I just wanted to get some extra rest. But yeah, man, being sick is completely my fault. Like, dude, every single time I'm sick, every single time it's because of sleep. 100%.
Really?
Yeah, because I got the rest of the stuff down, like the nutrition, all of those things, exercise. I got all that stuff down, but it's the sleep, man. That's why I harp so much on it. You know, to the guys and everybody, that is the X factor for sure.
Yeah,
that's when all of your repairing of your body is done, when you sleep.
Yeah, dude, it throws me off big time. Like I've been getting good sleep, but I didn't get my full 7 last night. It was 6 a.m. and I was like, I gotta get up. And I knew I was like, I'm gonna be tired today, but
yeah,
I took it.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, and I totally understand the strategy, because I do think you have to take some blows on the chin with lack of sleep to then tell your brain it's like, no, like this is your fault. The goal starts the night before. You should have gone to bed earlier.
Yeah,
not slept in later, if that makes sense.
Yeah, dude. I had to do a show this weekend, so I didn't get into like 1:30, and then I had a bunch of stuff playing yesterday. So I was just buzzing around all day yesterday on like four hours of sleep.
Oh,
and it's just, dude, it's hell. It sucks.
Yeah, man.
It feels like you're hungover. It sucks.
It does. Oh yeah, it really does. I think. Sorry, I think the statistics show that like after a certain amount of sleep deprivation, you drive the equivalent of a drunk person.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, how was the weekend? You did a show?
Yeah, we had a little show out in Millersville. We were an hour and a half away.
Nice. How many people?
Yeah. It wasn't too much. It was like a little place that had like 2 tiers. So there was like a top level kind of thing, and then there was a little bottom level.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. I don't know. I don't know how to even count it. I think it would only be at like 70 people most, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
So even if that, honestly, it's probably like 50. So it was fun.
And how is COVID playing out over there with shutdowns? Because out here in California, I mean, we keep on doing shutdown after shutdown, like increased shutdown after increased shutdown. How's it going back there in PA?
Dude, honestly, they I don't know. They like tell people they can't. Like there's like gyms that are just remaining open. They're like whatever. So it's kind of like it's come to like a bit of a cat and mouse game. Some people just shut down. I think they're like whatever, I'm doing it. But other places are kind of just like, yeah, we'll see what happens. So a lot of it's just kind of suggestion. I feel like they're like when I flew to Chicago, they were like check in with this thing and find out if you come from a certain city, whether or not you have to quarantine. You can just completely just fly in and just go about your business. So I think a lot of it's just like we're doing all this stuff, but it's like, I don't know. I heard in California they're shutting people's water off if they have like parties and stuff.
I haven't heard that, nor do I know anybody who's had that happen. And also out here, like nobody's policing anything.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's more or less like politicians that say, well, here's what we're doing for this, but nobody enforces it. And it's all like this big symbolic gesture. So,
yeah. I think obviously the numbers are going up in the hospitals. It seems like their numbers are going up. But again, nobody's policing anything. And I think to a certain degree, they're basing the type of shutdown based off of the how filled up the ICU is in the hospitals. But again, nothing that's me or any of my friends. So it's just very interesting, and it's very interesting because I just talked to somebody recently, and it can get relatively heated, like where you land on the spectrum of like, do you wear a mask? Do you stay in quarantine? Do you go out and do your thing? So I talked to this person last week, and we had a conversation. He asked me how I'm handling it. And I basically said, look, like I'm very respectful of people if they want to stay away. I wear a mask and everything, but I refuse to stop working on my goals. So for instance, if the gym is open and everybody at the gym is under the same understand implied or explicit contract, like, hey, you go here, you're taking your own risk, and everybody here is doing the same, then I'm going to keep on doing that. But this other person was very much of the belief of like, well, you're adding to the problem. You know what I mean? Like just by nature being out. This person stayed in. He stayed in for the last, I think, like 7 months, 6 or 7 months.
Really?
Just in the house, and he orders food and all that stuff. Like, does not go out, except for goes and visits his family. And I get it, but that's where you start to get into like weird territory, because it's like, number one, if everybody doesn't participate in the quarantining, like fully quarantine, like fully stay in, well then, I mean, because we're not talking about small numbers. Like out here in California, we're talking about tens of thousands of people just in the local area going out and not quarantining. So if I don't go out, that's not going to have any impact whatsoever, right? Like it does on paper. It sounds good on paper, like, oh, I'm not participating in the problem. But the reality is you're not going to move the needle at all, right? If it's 10,000 to 1, right? It's not going to matter. But then where it gets tricky is this person says, well, I've gone out, I visit my family. Well, it's like, okay, well, as soon as you do that, well, now you're breaking the full quarantine pattern and you're going out to visit, and then you don't know what those people are doing. People say they know what they're doing. It's like, but do you really know the 8 people that you just visited that they stayed in completely? You don't know that. Like, come on. So anyway, exactly. It's very, what are your thoughts on it?
Dude, it's funny when everyone's dealing with different issues of like there's like that idea, like you're making the problem worse. And it's like, what's the problem? People do this the same thing. They go like, I'm arguing on behalf of the collective. I'm acting on the, people are saying like, there's people who say like, I'm arguing on behalf of the collective, meaning people who are sick and blah, blah, blah. And there's people who are like, I'm arguing on behalf of the collective, but I'm talking about small businesses. And it's like, whenever people talk about like the problem or large overarching things, I think it's usually kind of like spun in a way that serves their self-interest, not in a bad way. It's just so to me, it's kind of annoying when people grandstand about like, well, I'm doing what's right and like you're doing what's wrong. And it's like, all right, well, what about, you don't want to get the virus. Totally. That would suck if you get it and people die. Then there's like, well, what about kids? Like, what are the downsides of kids spending like the tons of time now just in front of a screen rather than interacting socially? Because like in school, they have to sit, like you have to have like a 6-year-old sit in front of a screen and interact with a laptop for 5 hours. And it's like, is that the best thing in the world? Then you get into when people go like real humanitarian on you. It's like, well, how's this going to affect the third world? Like, what if like millions of people starve so you can sit in your house and not, so I just like people should just do what they're doing, be careful. And, if you, again, I don't understand how there's not this thing. If you want to go out and take the risk, you should be able to go out and take the risk. If you don't, stay at home. It's really not that big of a deal. I don't go around to mountain climbers and be like, yo, get the fuck down off there. We can't do that.
Well, I mean, I think also, I also believe that people should be more congruent with their actions. So, for instance, I looked up the data. I think in America alone, every year, I think it's about 4 million people either die or are seriously injured, like hospitalized from car accidents. So, and it's the same thing, right? Because not only are you taking the risk of going out and driving and hurting yourself, by the nature of you participating in that pattern, right, you are taking the risk of hurting other people as well. So how can you go out and drive and then say, well, I'm just, you're a bad person for not quarantining, right? It's it's
politicized. That's all. Exactly. It's just it's a political thing now, and it's one of those things. Unfortunately, people either go all in on, or they just sit around. And they're like, I hope this is over soon because this is really weird.
Right.
But I feel like people should just do their thing. Do your thing. Be careful. And it's also important too because there's people can get political on both sides of it and like be like, I'm just completely blowing this thing off as total bullshit. I'm not. And it's like, just if you're going into someone's business, put a mask on, and does it, could it be the fact that it's not effective? Whatever, just for like as a human thing, just to be nice, just do it. That's all.
Yeah.
Just be nice. That's all.
Right.
And if you see
Yeah,
someone
no,
with
I
one
totally
on,
support that.
if they don't have one on, don't fucking spaz at them. It's just maybe they don't want to wear it. So
Yeah, no, I totally get it, man.
it's crazy,
Cool.
man. It's crazy. But either way, it's funny. We've never even talked about that on here. But I think it's important, dude. And I especially would say if there's people who are really like, this has really affected their lives to the point where it's fired them. They can't really see anybody. There's people they'd like to see who might be like, nah, I don't want to see anyone right now, which just like completely fractures your personal relationships, So if that's the case and you're really struggling, I would just advise to, really hang in there and, just do the stuff you can do. Do the exercise, get your sleep, and just really focus on the bare minimums and try to use that time wisely and like start some meditating. Just start productive habits if you're kind of locked inside by yourself.
Yeah.
So
no, absolutely. Speaking of that, I got these. I don't know if we ever talked about this, but I got to give a shout out to Bowflex, the adjustable dumbbells, man. Like those things are a game changer. They're a game changer for me during quarantine. If we quarantine again, they're a game changer to me as well. But like the adjustable dumbbells, dude. I don't think you have them, Matt. I don't think we've talked about it, but I fucking love them, man.
Really?
Yeah, Ray says product placement. Yeah, no, me and Bowflex don't necessarily have a contract or I don't get any kickback. I just love them. And
how much are they?
Well, so number one, there's a whole bunch of different brands. Bowflex is the one that I liked, but my buddy just showed me. I forget what brand his were. I got mine used on Facebook for like $350, plus a bench and plus like a gym flooring, like kind of like foam flooring.
Yeah.
And dude, I love them. Like they go from 10 pounds to 90 pounds each arm. And literally, yeah, it replaces an entire wall of dumbbells. Yeah, they're unreal. Yeah. So, yeah, they're pretty legit, dude.
Well, that's what I'm struggling with right now. I was telling you before we went on. The cold weather, man. I get so, I don't know if it's I don't want to sweat or something. Once it gets chilly outside, thought of exercise, I'm just kind of like I have to like push myself back into it. So I took the week off pretty much. Not the week off. I still did like very light exercise while I was fasting, but I have to get back into it, man. Because it's like whenever I stop exercising for a while, there's like the thought of doing it again. I just don't want to do it so bad for some reason. Then once I do it, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. But it's like a feeling I get in my body where it's just kind of like, it's just a thought of like planking and making my stomach sore is like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that right now.
Well, where are you doing? Where are you going to do your workouts? In your basement?
So that was the thing. I was running all the time and doing my basement workouts, but the running was easy because I would just move outside and move, but it's freezing now. So I think I'm going to do a run in the freezing cold and then come in and do a little workout in my basement. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah, man. I do not miss that extra barrier. Like when I lived back in Philadelphia, I just remember like, when you and I used to go to the gym, you have to like put on 30 pounds of sweatshirts and sweatpants. And then when you get to the gym, you take it all off. And I do not miss that process at all.
But yeah, no, it's sorry. People are attacking my basement background. I might drywall just this little strip right above me. People are saying I look like I'm in an ISIS video. Somebody Lizzie is saying they missed the point of this. Not being hateful, but what is this? And who the fuck is Wes? Jesus, Lizzie.
Hey, Lizzie. Nice to meet you too.
This is the Rhomas weekly podcast that we check in Monday. We usually just shoot the breeze what's going on, and then we basically call what we're going to do for that week. So really, I would have categorized this if I had to put it in a box as kind of a motivational, informational, and creating a sort of supportive time structure for people to kind of structure their lives days and go after things they want rather than kind of idling about on the internet and, not really doing anything. So yeah, it's a mastermind.
Basically a men's goals team, I think is a good summary.
Hell yeah. It's a very, very chill, very laid back. This is more of just a, something of a digital moose lodge for people who are jacked and rich.
Nice. To answer Nick's question, $350 for the for the Bowflex weights. He said, I'm just going to get some blue chews.
You could get a little bit of blue chews and just like do push-ups. But yeah,
Hell yeah,
I mean,
man.
So what's going on, man? I know you're sick. I appreciate you doing this. I was thinking, I think it was the thing I sent you, how we're trying, we're working on that little secret project book. But the idea that I kind of really wanted to hammer across was what I was contained in that, which was just the idea of time management and how nobody ever thinks to manage their time. It's like, you manage money because it's like, if you run out, it's embarrassing and it sucks, and you try, people typically try not to eat too bad because you immediately feel when you're eating bad, like you typically start to feel that, or, like you have diarrhea or something, or you gain a lot of weight. But the time thing is one that you don't notice until 20, 15, 10 years go by. And then you just stop and go like, holy shit, what have I been doing with my time? And I've been really trying to think about like time's a thing, like money you can accumulate, but time is a asset you have to spend every day. You think about it that way. And it's like, you have to start thinking specifically, what are you going to spend it on? And like, dude, the simplest thing I can think of is just making a to-do list every day. Or like, I like to journal in the morning, but it's like just sitting and like just planning your day. So you wake up and you say, here are the things I'm going to do today. So whenever you start, if I get in like an idling state, or if I like, fall victim to like my phone and I catch myself and I go like, what the fuck? Oh yeah. And I check my list and I'm like, I have to do these things. And after I'm done these things, I can totally relax and do whatever else I'm doing. And it's like, dude, that's the structuring time is something I think it's like the most fundamental thing it carries like the most insane implications in terms of like what it helps people do.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the number one resource, I would argue, because it's the gateway to everything else they can produce within that, like on that canvas. And we're not taught it in school. We just kind of have to figure it out ourselves. And I remember the day, like I first kind of taught, like it was back in like high school or something, where I talked to somebody who was essentially ultimately became the valedictorian. And he showed me, he gave me a little insight on like how he manages his calendar. And when I was in ninth grade, I was like, what do you mean manage your calendar? Like, that's not a thing. And just nobody ever taught me that. And that was a game changer for me. And being able to navigate that landscape, first of all, number one, pick and choose what you're going to spend your time on versus not spend your time on. And then number two, how do you handle the logistics of doing that? So for instance, like, the way that I do it, I did that whole ITPAR thing. So imagine, think, plan, act, reflect, and then repeat. So first is imagining, kind of the life or the goals that I want to achieve. That's where you get that North Star thing. What's the North Star goal? Okay, I want to compete in a bodybuilding competition. Okay, great. And then I think, okay, so I write down all of the resources. So I got the imagination part down. Now I got to think about it. Okay, what are all the resources that I have? Oh, I can join this team over here. Great. Okay, who are the best teams? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, here. Then I found the best coach. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, then I picked that. Okay, then I went and I signed up for it. Okay, well, then now how do I plan for that? Because it takes about an hour to an hour and a half a day. Okay, so then I go to my Google Calendar. And for those of you who don't use a calendar, I'd highly, highly recommend it, especially something like a digital calendar, because you can, like, let's just say I have to block out 2 hours or an hour and a half for my workouts. Okay, great. Well, I put that in there. But then if something changes, if something has to move around, I can easily just move it around. Yeah. But I can take that whole chunk and move it around. So the night before, it's like, oh, well, I have to have a meeting. Okay, I'll put that meeting in there, but I have to make sure that like I have room to move my workout, or maybe I can't get done. But it allows for that cognitive process for me to understand exactly where I'm going to be spending my time. It also gives me the idea of spending it. So it's like, oh, if I take this meeting, then I'm going to sacrifice my workout. Is this meeting important enough for me to sacrifice my workout? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So just so I understand, so you say I was actually curious about this because you've been doing this for, I guess, a while now. And it's like, so you use Google Calendar and you physically map your day out kind of hour by hour. So I'm still trying to get there. I basically have a to-do list with like tasks, and I have like a general idea of what's going on, but I think that is the next step where eventually, so yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. And the thing that I'm here, so there's the structure, there's a system of working it. And then there's like, you, the person who have to like somehow convince yourself to move your, mind and efforts into actually doing that, that's what I'm kind of obsessed with, because like there was so much resistance. Well, this is what I'm specifically wondering about. Like, where do you think the resistance to like implement those systems really comes from. I know there's time constraints for sure, but even like, if you are time constrained, you still do have some free time, which you can structure and, do stuff with. So I'm always curious, like thinking about like why I didn't do that earlier, because it's something I kind of kick myself for. And I think some of it is just, to be honest, for myself, was just being kind of lazy. And then there was also like almost like a sense of self thing where it's like, I'm more of a freewheeler. I don't really blah, 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 blah. Especially that came from doing like creative endeavors where I'd be like, I'm creative, dude. I can't be tied to a Google Calendar. Right. But I wouldn't get anything done ever. So it's like, that's the thing I really want to push. And hopefully this makes sense. This might just be something just only makes sense to me, but it's like, there's the structure and then there's you, and you have to just kind of like, it's almost like skydiving. None of this makes sense unless you actually jump out of the plane and like implement this and spend a day, like at least with a to-do list. And eventually what I'm trying to do is set a bunch of alarms. So while I'm like working, it's just like, boom, alarm goes off and I have a corresponding schedule, almost like school bells. And I kind of keep myself on par between tasks. So that way I don't have to like set timers, everything's set. As soon as I start the day, it's just bell, 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 bell. And, again, I can always deviate if I have to, but like to try to like hyper structure my entire day like that, because right now it's working for sure. But it's like, I just kind of, I don't know, man, anymore. It's like the more structure, the better. Especially because I work for myself. So it's like, I need it.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, what scheduling out your day and putting things on the calendar, it allows you to at least give yourself the chance to spend time on only level 10 activities. The probability of you randomly just throughout the day in real time selecting exactly what your level 10 priorities are every single time is about as close to zero as possible. Why? Because there's so much external stimulus coming at us all the time. Like as soon as a friend calls, or as soon as somebody comes in my office, or as soon as whatever, a client calls, all of a sudden, because the way our brains are wired, right, we want to focus on that thing because it's, well, somebody just put that right in front of our face. But in the absence of something to contrast it with, we're going to make the decision of the immediate stimulus in front of us. And it's like I said earlier, like if I take a meeting and I know it's going to throw off my gym schedule, because I have it on my calendar already, I then have to, it allows me to make that judgment call, versus if it doesn't exist, there's no way that I would think about it. Yes. I would probably say, oh yeah, I can get to the workout later. Well, it's like, well, no, how? Because you already have dinner scheduled after that, and then you're supposed to go to bed. So you're going to sacrifice one of your goals. Like, it is just so unbelievably important, scheduling everything out. And I think, Matt, to your point, the reason that most people don't do it is because it's not the least tedious thing in the world. It's kind of tedious, right? It's just tedious enough for people to say, no, fuck it. Like, I'll just play this thing out in real time.
Yeah. I mean, I for sure. I think it can be tedious, but if you kind of think of it as like, like when I schedule stuff, I don't just think of it as like, oh, here's a couple things I have to do. It's like, what am I filling my life with, which will be what my life ultimately consists of when I schedule. So when I schedule, I always think of those pictures of like, 17th century, a guy in a robe, just like with a little candle, like writing stuff on a scroll. It's like when you schedule your day, you're literally building your life. And it's like, there's the big momentous occasions, like, there's like, are you going to get married? There's a wedding. Are you going to graduate? What career do you pick? Everyone wants those like big, humongous things. Like, once I get this thing, then everything will change. But it's like the thing that leads up to all of those things are tiny little minutia events over the course of time. And, that's what all those things, in my opinion, are kind of built of, like dealing with the kind of minutia and boredom that comes with like scheduling and, or even not even the boredom, but like, when you're saying, here's what I'm specifically doing, you're almost exposing yourself in a way. Like, you're specifically saying you're doing a thing, which, like, is it lame? Is it stupid? Is it this? Which some people kind of shy away from. And then it's like, will I fail at this thing too? So it's like you're almost putting your neck out in a way. And again, I might be taking this too far, but I do think when you start to like blatantly form your life and schedule, you're kind of claiming certain territory in terms of like saying who you are and what you do, that sometimes can come with a little bit of initial pushback, which usually don't. It's usually imagined, but
yeah,
I don't know. I think I'm getting this thing too personal, but it's like, I'm really trying to think of how you can slug your way out of just like the part I was at, where it was like, this stuff is just like inconceivable to write a to-do list and actually do those things. And like, and then when you actually implement it, you see your life change. It's like, wow. And it's not like, drastic, but it's just like, holy shit, this is so much better now. Like my life feels full of things that I'm doing there's like reason, there's purpose. And it's like, I can't thank you enough. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, man. Well, dude, the thing is, I think you're spot on. So all you have to do to give yourself a kind of litmus test is, and all the guys can do this, is you write down your top 5 goals. And then you go and you see, it's like, okay, well, if those are your top 5 goals, those are your most important things, then show me how you worked on them yesterday. Right? It's like if those are the most important things, then shouldn't you have worked on them yesterday? And I guarantee every time that I've done this for myself, if I've been off my scheduling game, it's like, oh shit, right? Here's my top 5 goals, but I didn't work on them at all yesterday. And that is because I didn't schedule it.
Yeah.
Right? There's the probability of you hitting on your top 5 goals on a daily basis without scheduling is basically 0. And that's the cool thing. And Matt, this is what you're referring to, I believe, and this is what you're doing, right? Like when you actually do that, so just try the inverse. So say, okay, instead of not scheduling, I am going to schedule. And then holy shit, man, you'll find out that in your first 2-hour time block, you can knock out working on those top 5 goals in 2 hours. Whereas most people don't knock it out in 20 days, literally 2 hours.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it was, this was my main hang up too, is like, I'd like to write. I'd like to think of myself as a writer but I wouldn't write ever. Like you were saying, people ask me like, oh, I love to write. I think, when's the last time you wrote? I'm like, I'm really busy. I haven't written like, a couple months. And it's like, and then there's a thing you kind of pride yourself on doing and really like, you don't do it for some reason. And then months go by and then you start to get resentful, angry. And I start, looking at my wife and be like, God damn it. If she didn't ask me to do this right now, I could be writing. In reality, my whole situation was solved by just getting up early. I took it upon myself to get up an hour and a half earlier than I usually do. And now I get all my writing done in that period. And it's like, again, it sounds so simple, but it's amazing how like far away that thing can seem or just impossible. But it's like, yeah, just get up 2 hours early, get used to it. It took me literally, I've been thinking about getting up at 6 and writing every day for the last 6 months. And I started doing it in the last like month. That's how long it takes to really, so when it seems impossible, it's like, yeah, dude, your life's a pretty big ship. The wheel is pretty heavy and you got to like really turn it. So again, just doing tiny little things like that make a huge difference.
Oh yeah. And when we kind of get the full program up and running for the guys, like going through step by step of selecting your goals and everything, you'll see, Matt, you're hitting on a great topic right now, which is when you do the mental work up front of really selecting your goals and what are important to you, they shouldn't fucking change. Rarely, if ever. So it's not like you're going to accomplish the goal. Like you're saying in writing, it took you 6 months to actually get up earlier to start the writing process. But that's because you knew that goal was really important to you. So you don't change the goal, right? Because human behavior is very hard to change. So if you just would have said, well, hey, I haven't done it for the last few weeks, or I haven't done it for the last month, I haven't done it for the last 6 months, I'm just going to give up. It's like, no, it's just, you already selected the goal. You know exactly what you love to do. Don't change the fucking goal. Just keep on trying to change your behavior. And that trying process takes a long fucking time sometimes. I know exactly what that's like. And so does everybody else. But I think a lot of people are too quick to change their goals.
Yeah.
Even for this podcast, I had this as a goal for literally probably 2 years, like literally. And then I joined this accountability team just with one other guy. And it was, we literally only talked about one thing. That was the whole premise of the meeting. So every month we would meet and we'd say, okay, did you make progress on the one thing? And the whole idea was that if we only had to talk about one goal, we couldn't get out of it, right? You couldn't say, well, I'm doing well in these other areas. Like, so literally I showed up after we started that program. It was also to mirror yours. It was 6 months. I showed up every single month for 6 months saying I didn't make progress. It was fucking awkward. And it was because this guy is a pretty successful guy. But then finally it happened. And now here we are. But don't change the fucking goal once you know that goal is important to you. It's a level 10 goal. You just have to keep on trying to change your behavior.
Yeah, man. No, absolutely. I think that's important, man. And again, and just recognize it's super hard. So if you try it, you're like, nope, tried it, super hard. It's like, yeah, dude, it's so hard to do. But it for real can be done. You do it and you just go like, it's almost a mystery. You're like, what the fuck? What was I doing? And you can't even figure out your thought process from before. You're like, what the? Because it's so inconceivable at first. You're like, there's no way I can't fit it in there. I can't do this. I can't do that. And then you change it, and you're just kind of like, oh, yeah, I can totally do that. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. But no, this is the blocking and tackling of actually checking off your goals. If you do not have it scheduled, it's just not going to happen. Yep. At least to the degree that you deserve to have it happen.
Or even just know what's important to you. That blew my mind when I was doing the ACT stuff, when you have to do the values chapter, and it's like, here's like 9 or 10 domains that could potentially be important to you. Like, just, I never consciously thought about any of that stuff. And it's like when you start to actually be like, yeah, you know what? I do think this is I think about this a lot. I think about this a lot. I don't really care about that. And you just sit there and actually lay that stuff out. Dude, it's tremendously helpful. And the thing I'm mainly combating for the most part is like that point, like they call it like the existential vacuum, where it's like you're just kind of in like a purposeless drift. You're good, man. Doing like a purposeless drift of like, doing nothing and nothing makes sense. You don't know why you're doing anything. It's like, that can pretty easily, well, not easily, but a huge first step is like sitting down and forcing yourself to write out what you personally think is important. So it's like pretty simple step. And then you build some goals out of there, which give you things to, tasks and physical things to do. And that becomes the content of your day, and the content of your day serving your ideals. And it's like, oh, this is pretty nice. It's like really simple stuff, man. It's just like, you have to sit down and do it, and then just be willing to self-experiment, and then come to grips with the fact that you might be like, okay, you know what, maybe that wasn't that important to me, and someone kind of put that in my head. But you see that because you're doing it, and you're like, this sucks. I don't want to do it. So you just find things that resonate with you that are just non-negotiable, where you're like, yeah, I definitely like this. I can tell for sure. So
yeah, no, absolutely. And there's some stuff in the chat. M. Gunther asked, how do you break down, I think, larger goals into the more manageable segments? So, Matt, you want to take a stab at that?
How do you break the larger goals? So what I like to do is not just do the goals, but also kind of think of what my barriers are in terms of why I might not be able to do that. Like anything that pops up, like I think about, the goal, and then, again, you always break it down. I think Wes told me this, to break it down to like little micro tasks. Like, what's the very smallest thing you can do to at least start to get that ball rolling? But before I do that, I also like to think about like what's a potential barrier, and then think of little micro tasks to address the barriers before I even begin to like do this stuff. Like even like I'm trying to think of giving an example. So say like I want to, like with the PsychNol website, say I wanted to do like a new thing. Like I might start at like a separate, maybe monthly segment where I do like a podcast where I interview people. A first barrier I might have might be just a purely mental barrier where it's like, well, will this be good? Well, people think this sucks, and I'll immediately address that, first and foremost. But like, let me just get that all out of the way so that doesn't like influence my behavior in any way. And I'll say like, and then, so I'll address that and say like, whatever, I'm just going to do it regardless. That's like the first thing I address. And then there's like, what's the easiest way to have a podcast? I'll just call like an expert, and then I'll just, first step is go through and see like 4 or 5 people who are experts in subjects that you want to talk about, and just send them an email. That's the first one. Now, if they answer, now you respond and you schedule a thing. So you just break it down to the simplest thing and go one by one. And then again, give yourself a time frame so they don't just stretch off into like infinity.
Yeah, no, I agree. And one other thing that I do that helps me for certain types of goals is I do what's called a 3x3. So for instance, let's say the goal is getting a 6-pack, right? Like, reducing my body fat. Okay, well, what are the 3 most important things? It's really 3 to 5. What are the 3 to 5 most important things that will help me do that? Okay, well, the first thing is nutrition. Okay, great. So then the next thing is gym time. Then the next thing is sleep. Okay, well, then I go down from there. Okay, well, for nutrition, what are the action items that I have to take? Okay, well, nutrition, I've got to eat right. So I've got to go to the grocery store. I've got to buy vegetables. Then I have to cook them. So you kind of have this tiering down, right? Reverse engineering of the North Star goal down to the actual individual actions that I can take today.
No, so you're saying you kind of make sure you cover the basics before you even and dude, that's what a scorecard is. It's just like, before you're even trying to function on all levels, this is like, I would say it's kind of like executive level functioning where you're like scheduling your day, you're doing stuff. I think that's, I don't think that's like a crazy way to put it, but it's again, like, dude, if you're sleep deprived, if you're not eating right, if you're lacking nutrients, like those bases, they're like the fundamentals that have to be covered before. If you don't even know what to do with yourself, it's like, well, just work on covering the fundamentals, dude. It's like you honestly feel like a different person. You think a little more clearly, and it's like that's something too I wanted to touch on as well. It's like, all these goals and stuff they're cool to have, and you should have them, but it's like you also have to be hitting the fundamentals, man, of just sleep, water, food. And it's just so funny to be an animal that has to remind yourself to drink water, which is like, we have a freakish position, and it's very kind of murky waters, but like, yeah, man, those things, they're like, that's the best starting ground for people who don't know what they're doing. It's like, just hit the fundamentals, dude, hit them for 2 weeks, and again, there's always that trap if you do it and you go, oh, I don't feel any different. It's like, just take your mind out of the equation. Just do it. let your experience be your judge over time. And, there's so much, like, in my opinion, there's so much like defensiveness that surrounds a lot of this stuff. Like, tried it, I knew it would suck. Well, it's like, look, if you're determined to be fucking miserable, you'll be miserable. It's very easy to achieve. Like, it's very easy to do. And always negative, self-fulfilling, negative things are easy to be made self-fulfilling prophecies. Oh, this is going to suck. This party's going to suck. And you sit there like this the whole time. It's like, it's going to fucking suck. It's easy. It's easy to bring those things into fruition. It's very hard. And it puts you in a vulnerable state if you try to like bring something positive in fruition. So it's like, but it's infinitely more rewarding. So it's like, yeah, you gotta cross that shitty river of your own kind of, negative stuff. Then you cross over and like, oh, it's pretty nice. So,
well, that, and I think the funny thing is, and I can speak for myself, one large part why I didn't pursue goals in like years and years and years ago was like I was worried about what people would say. Like when I got really down into it, it's like, oh well, if I fail this, my buddies are going to say, like, see, told you, like, you should just watch, like, football with us on Sunday instead of, like, going out to dance practice, like something like that. But it's like it was in this effort to try to look good to others where I didn't really, I guess I cared about their opinion, but their opinion is not going to help me achieve my goals. So I think it's funny how, and I've been subject to this too, like I was saying, how much we don't pursue stuff that we really want because maybe it will make other humans look at us in a weird, different perspective, and we're a little scared of that.
Yeah, man. I mean, imagine dying on your deathbed and finally you just like see your boy who would have made fun of you and you're just like, so glad I didn't do all that cool stuff that would have fulfilled my life, dude. I'll catch you later. I'll see you in heaven, dude. Yeah, man. Nice. It's just one of those things that, and typically if you really dig down deep enough, the people who are out breaking your balls that hard, as soon as you just dig down, and I can say this from experience, as soon as you dig down and do the thing you said you were going to do and just do it, they're usually kind of like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's just, I don't know. It's just weird. I come from a family that's like that. If you do anything, if you stray from the norm at all, they just make fun of you. And it's just like the way my family relates to one another. And, I'm kind of used to that, but like, so I'm kind of used to getting my balls broken. But for some people, it like, dude, it's just like, it can kind of cage you in your whole life. And it's not good.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So yeah, I wonder how much of our goals are not being achieved or at least pursued because of what others think of us. I would guess it's a significant portion. And if you are in that category for those guys listening, I think that's normal. But I think at the end of the day, it's just one of those things where it's like, we just got to get through it. Just say, like, you tell your brain, thank you for sharing, and then keep pursuing it. Another thing I'm thinking about doing is, because I analyzed this on myself a while ago. I determined literally that I was not pursuing one goal because I was worried. This is how weird the brain works. I was worried that one particular girl who I wasn't even interested in, right? Like one particular girl back in high school would see on like my Facebook, right? And then judge me for it. That's how fucked up the brain can be. Like it was like when I asked myself why, it was literally this one girl from high school that I wasn't even particularly interested. I think she's a drug addict too. Like, and I'm not hating on that, but it's like I've got no interest in her, and it's not necessarily like she's beating me in the world in terms of goal pursuit, right? Like, does that make sense? So yeah, that's how weird the brain can get.
Well, you're almost talking about the psychic landscape and how there's this thing, I think they call it object relations theory in psychology, where they say like your psyche is made up of like all of the people you kind of came across who have some sort of impact. And a lot of times as you're like filtering thoughts and things to do, they're kind of filtering through like how you would perceive that these other people would think of the thing you're doing. So you literally have people in your head who are kind of like judging you and poking at you. And yeah, dude, yep. I think that's 100% right and a very honest thing. Cause I do the same thing, dude. I would analyze like, why aren't I doing this? And dude, it would be like one of my older brothers just being like, you're gay. And I'm like, damn it, man. I want to do this thing so bad. But it's like, seriously, I'm like, I'm 30. Yeah. I would be like 30. I think I like thought about this when I was like 33. I'm like, dude, I'm 33 years old. And I'm like, I might as well be in like a big puffy Flyers jacket. And like, no, I'm not. Come on, guys. Let me play. So yeah, dude, it's like, if you're really honest with yourself, it's like you can still be. And again, a lot of this is self-protective mechanisms carried on from childhood where it's like, yeah, it's good when you're in the recess yard to kind of, hide behind the soccer net and be like, I just don't want to get picked on, don't want to get teased. But it's like, dude, you can drop that. Like, you're an adult now. Like, go off and live your life, And it's like people. So it's also too, the thing that you were saying reminded me of, just from even if your circumstances, you're like, oh my God, you don't understand. It's my schedule. There's no room for it. I don't have any money on it. You can always, and people might hate this, but you can always attempt to adjust your attitude. And that's the one thing you're always in control of. And the thing you said, Wes, I think months ago was, and I think the quote was attributed to Will Smith, I believe you said, but it's like, you are in charge of your energy. It's like, if you really take a stock, I swear to God, by the mindfulness bell, it's the app on a phone. Mine goes off like 10 times a day, because whenever my bell goes off, I check in with myself. Like, how am I feeling? What was I just doing? I have a list of things that I specifically don't want to do, which is like, sit on my phone and stuff. So if I catch myself and the bell goes off, I'm like, I stop doing the thing. But the big one is, you have a bell, it dings a couple times a day, and it forces you to check in with yourself. And you're like, what energy am I bringing into wherever I am? Like, am I coming in here all grumpy and like, you can do that if you want, but you literally don't have to. And I don't know why. Yeah. I guess it feels good to do that, because, you just kind of like put that, you feel bad, so you just kind of beam that stuff back out. But it's like, dude, just trying to just alter your energy and just bring, even if you're in a place that you hate, you can still kind of be cheery about it, which, I used to force myself to do when I'd be at manual labor jobs. I would just be like, I'm just going to force myself to be cheery about this. And, just make a little game about it. And it's just like something you can do on a level to release some of the pressure. And it's like, it only helps your situation, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That quote was phenomenal. I think it was like by Will Smith. It was like, showing up with a good attitude is part of your job description.
That's what it was.
And,
yeah.
And it's so good. It's like, realize this is actually part of what you signed up for. No, absolutely. I mean, that's what that, the book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. I mean, that's probably the most extreme version of having a great attitude in the most dire circumstances. So yeah, absolutely, man.
Sorry, one other thing too. That was the cool thing about I'm reading right now. I'm doing a logotherapy module for Psychnol, and that's specifically from Viktor Frankl. That's his whole like clinical modality. And there was I think Freud was the one who said, like, we're all instincts. We just run off instincts, nothing else. And if you took a group of people who are temperamentally and different in like race, age, every different dimension you could imagine, and starve them, they would all react exactly the same, and you would see that all of personality and persona and choice is just a facade. And then Viktor Frankl, he's in the concentration camps. He's like, well, I literally ran that. I was in that experiment, and he was like, everyone acts totally different. People were starving to death. Some people would be almost like saintly in terms of like just they would just give food to other people. Still, some people would they would like kill people and steal shit from them. But he's like, that difference still exists even under the harshest like survival conditions. So. Yep. It's something to think about, dude.
Oh no, absolutely, man. So cool, man. So do we want to bring somebody on?
Yeah, dude. Let's I had who was talking about strength training? I had someone talking about that, because again, it's I think all of the fundamentals are always good to talk about, and little things that can kind of boost you up. I believe it was let me see. Austin Daniels.
Let me know if this fuck something. I gotta check something real quick.
Go ahead, man.
Can you still?
No. Do your thing. I'm waiting for Austin to come on right now. Bum, 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 bum. What up, Austin?
Hello.
What's up, bro?
Hey. Not much. Just started my day.
Nice. I hear you kicking around cans in that car.
This
what
is
you got on
the real. Just zero sugar Monster energy drink.
I knew you were kicking energy. I knew you were kicking energy drink cans. What's up, bro?
Of course. Not much. I'm going for my 1 rep max today. I'm gonna try to go for 335. So hopefully I get that. Yeah.
What lift?
Deadlift. Traditional. So that's like, instead of doing the sumo, which is wide stance legs, it's closed stance legs. So it's just the standard deadlift.
So what do you nice, what are the perks of strength training if you had to sell people on it?
Right. Yeah. So I follow Starting Strength, Mark Ripto's book on strength training, which is pretty much the same thing that they would give to like a football player in high school. And I think that it's a lot more rewarding than like an anaerobic exercise or like something like a bodybuilding exercise, because you get to achieve like higher numbers and more of a powerful lift, and you could still lose a lot of weight and gain a really nice physique through the deadlift training and the squatting and the bench press, which is what Mark Ripto uses in starting strength.
Nice. So is
is
it more like a functional strength thing?
Right. Athletic strength, functional strength. I mean, honestly, for the most part, nobody's going to be like deadlifting 300 pounds or lifting 300 pounds in their day to day, but it's still pretty fun to be able to say you did that, you know?
Nice, man.
I think there's an element, there's an element of it that it's like, yeah, I've got some clients who are worth literally hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not about the utility of the excess dollars. It's about knowing yourself as a type of man who can play that game to win at such a high level. And then you can take that with you to other areas of life. So whether for you, it's, lifting, and good luck on your 1 rep max today, by the way, but
Thank you.
I think as men, we all need those competitions in our life, and whether or not there's quote utility in it, I would argue the utility is on creating your identity along the way so that you can handle other shit in your life.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like, that's what I like. That's why I liked doing the powerlifting from the beginning, is because it's like I always had that like goal on the horizon of increasing my lifts, increasing all my 1 rep max, my 5 rep max, my 3 rep max, and it really motivated me. I got into it because I had a buddy who did it, and he was doing it competitively, and it just blew me away seeing this guy who's weighing in at like 180 pounds, deadlifting near 500 pounds, and I was like, dang, that's so awesome. And so I got into it, and yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
Oh, hell yeah, man.
It also feels good too, because if you do that in the morning, like anything like that, like strength training, jiu-jitsu, something physically super exerting, the rest of the day your body's kind of light and rid of all of that kind of like, just like shitty energy that might kind of turn you kind of like that. Like either like if you have like anger problems, stuff like that, like getting that out of your body, like physically, helps tremendously.
Oh, without a doubt, man. Plus, you then have something to contrast it with for the rest of the day. Oh, this isn't as hard as lifting fucking 335 pounds, right? Like, I can deal with this because I've already dealt with something that's 10 times the size. So I completely agree with you, man. That's awesome that you're on that journey. How long have you been doing it?
I've been doing powerlifting for about 1.5 years. I got like really thrown off when quarantine started. I was like in the middle of a bulk, and so then quarantine hit, and I was out of the gym, and so I just became fat, and now I'm recovering.
And powerful.
Right, fat and powerful, and so now I'm on the bounce back from that, and that's actually going really well. I've been able to apply a lot of what I learned during quarantine now out of it, or in the new world as it is, and been able to like find new ways to apply deadlift techniques.
Nice,
yeah.
Man.
Well, how do you find that? It seems like we were saying you put on a little excess body fat, and I'd imagine now you're in a little bit of a pickle because the game that you're playing is about increasing strength. But if your body compositions are to decrease your body fat, how are you accomplishing that? Because that's tough. Because if you start cutting your calories, obviously it's going to reduce your strength. Or am I wrong about that for this particular style training?
Right. I've been able to talk to Troy, and he's been offering me some nuggets of wisdom whenever I do run into him. And I've just been trying to increase my protein intake and make sure that I'm not going excessively over my calories, and doing a lot more walking as well. I've been walking a lot and following a couple of walking programs where one day I will walk for an hour, and I'll do like a 15-minute buildup of a slow walk into a 30-minute higher pace walk into a higher heart rate zone, and then end it on a slower pace. Then I'll take a rest day, and then the rest of the week I'll do 45-minute walks, and it's really nice to help burn some extra calories throughout my day.
Oh yeah, I love walking too, because like I do that on my off days, like a long walk, because you burn a ton of calories, but it doesn't like physically tax you that hard. You don't feel like super winded or tired. I also should say it's a new rule. I'm instating this in terms of the Rhomas Constitution. You can't call people fat at all. You have to call them fat and powerful. And so you have to tackle weight loss. Weight loss becomes a power issue. People have too much power, and they have to get toppled like third world dictators. Like, dude, I'm worried you're gonna get stormed to get Gaddafi.
That's awesome.
He's fat and powerful, dude. He's fat and powerful. I'm just worried he's gonna take over.
Well, good luck on your journey, brother. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
We also have there's a girl, dude, in the Rhomas men's team. A girl broke the ranks.
Yeah, I thought that was like Lizzie's apparently a girl. I mean, obviously by the name, but I thought it was just some sort of username. Hi, Lizzie. How are you?
You have to trans if you want to be in here. You must, dude.
Dang. I'm going to start blushing. I can't be around girls for too long.
Yeah, what's funny, I saw in the chat is like one girl gets in and everyone simps out. They're like, oh, hey, what's going on? Oh, man. But yeah, dude. Well, welcome, Lizzie. Welcome. But yeah, man, I think that's good. I think, again, just picking little things and getting into them, dude. That's predominantly where the meaning of life is to be had. It's like there's no ultimate rhyme or reason. It's just like, yeah, I do this thing and I fucking like it and I wake up and want to do it again tomorrow, and you just do that until you don't want to do it anymore.
Right.
Yeah, one of the things that my business coach taught me that I was just spot on. He's like, look, you want it because you fucking want it.
Yeah.
He's like, you do not know an explanation to anybody else. You want it because you fucking want it.
Yeah, man.
Right. I'm trying to find like a way to like turn this into like a business venture. So hopefully cool. Maybe I can get some friends to come and deadlift, and then I'll ask them to pay me money, or I'll like post it about it on Facebook, and then
hell yeah,
I can get some clients or something and get some pocket change by helping people meet their 1 rep max.
That'd be awesome, dude.
Hell yeah. Yeah, just remember some of the advice that I got a long time ago is spot on. Is like, the best sales and marketing thing you could do is get results, right? Like for yourself, just show that you're getting results, and other people who want to be like you or want those results will go to you because you've already accomplished them. Sounds pretty simple, but it's amazing how many people want to sell things that they don't get the fucking results, and you're getting the results.
Right. I'm trying to get onto that ab check point. That's why I started the diet. I was like, you know what? I can keep bulking or I can get abs. And so hopefully in a couple of months, I might have some abs.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Something you might want to consider carb cycling. That is a way, like when I do my competitions, my coach puts me on a carb cycle. So it's small, medium, large carb cycle. And that is a way to maintain and increase strength over time. You still have little dips in strength because during like your low days. But man, I swear by it. Like it is the way to build and gain strength over time, even while reducing your body fat. Now you have to give yourself some time. I'd say probably like 14-week cycles, so you can still see the results. But that's what I would recommend versus just being hypocaloric or a caloric deficit for an extended period of time, because that's just going to kill your fucking strength gains. It'll just crush it. It'll do well for the ab check-in, but you'll want to shoot yourself because of how low your lifts will be.
I actually did this one time. Wes was telling me about the carb cycling. I did it as an experiment. I liked it. You lose a ton of weight, and then you have like what was it, Wes? Every like 4 or 5 days, you get to eat like something like 400 grams of carbohydrates, and it's pretty It was like my favorite thing. You get to that heavy carb day, and it's like it's amazing. So I might start doing that as well.
Energy stores. Yeah, dude, I swear by it. If your goal is aesthetic and it's to maintain and increase muscle mass and strength, then I would highly recommend it. The only problem is, one of the reasons I don't recommend it to a lot of people is because it's one of those diets where you have to follow it pretty much to the T. Otherwise, you're going to fuck it up. So if you do a high carb day and then the next day you go and you do another high carb day, like you're starting to fuck yourself, like right there. Yeah. So it just requires more precision. That's why I always say, when people say, oh, I want to lose weight, it's like, well, we have to get more specific than that. Number one, like, how serious are you about it? Is a level 10 desire for you? And do you have level 10 ambition to achieve it? Because you can lose weight over time just by, doing some basics, right? Eating more vegetables, cutting out the liquid calories, all those things. But that's going to be a longer, slower progression versus if you say, hey, I want to step on stage in 60 weeks. Like, okay, well, here's the extreme program and you got to follow it to the dime. I think what happens to most people is they have a mismatch. They have a level 7 ambition to achieve the goal, but they pick a level 10 program. Yeah. And it's like, you're going to hate it because after week number 1, when the novelty wears off, your body's sore, you're not going to want it bad enough versus you should have just picked a level 7 program.
Yeah, man. No, I think that's I think one of the easiest, or not easiest. That's one of the best things to point out. It's a simple thing to like, how much do you care about it, and picking a thing in line with that, which is I like your model of just doing like make sure half your plate has vegetables on it. Start there.
Yep.
Pretty easy.
Yep. Yeah. So like during my kind of like, let's say maintenance, even though I don't necessarily believe in maintenance, like during my maintenance part of my program, it's more general, like just a lot of vegetables, some starchy vegetables, and then protein, and that's it. Right. Versus when I'm on the competition, path, it's like, no, I have to do this amount of macronutrients and hit it every single day. And I've got to fluctuate it. And so it just requires much more specificity.
Oh yeah, dude. Well, dude, yeah. I got to say good luck, dude. Good luck on the rep max, Austin. Go in and get it. And we're about to take this thing home, dude.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Awesome. Nice meeting you, brother.
Woo.
See you, man.
Later, bro.
Dude, so what's up for the week, dude? You're sick. How are you going to handle this?
So today I'm going like full out rest style, except for I've got some meetings with clients via Zoom. So I'm going to keep on doing those. And I want to hit my scorecard. Dude, honestly, the biggest focus on my scorecard now is it's got to be sleep. Like I'm learning, I always learn this. I guess I don't learn the lesson, but I'm reminded of this lesson. Yeah, man, maybe M. Gunther says hit the sauna. Yeah, maybe I'll try to do that too.
ASB caught my mother's eyes when you were like, I wasn't getting sleep. I went. He caught me early on. Yep. Must, dude. I'm telling you, it's like I was hoping you wouldn't get. I was worried. I knew you weren't getting your sleep, and I was like, Wes is going to get sick, man. I can feel it.
Yep.
You hit me with that text this morning, and I rolled. It was 6. It was like 5:45 when I got up, and I just rolled over and saw it, and I was just like, Brittany's like, "What's the matter?" And I was like, "Just leave me be."
Yeah, man. So yeah, doing that. I got to get back on the sleep. I'll hit the rest of my scorecard. I will not be working out for the next couple of days because I've learned my lesson on that way too many times. Where I say, fuck it, I'm just going to go to the gym because I'm sick and whatever. And then all of a sudden, one year I got pneumonia literally for 42 days straight. So I'm never doing that again. So I'm just telling you that so you guys can learn from it. It's like when you're sick, fucking just like get your ass to bed. I've been launching a war on all this stuff, like drinking like a gallon, like more than a gallon of water yesterday, all this stuff. So hopefully it'll shorten the length of the cold.
Sure.
And then just getting back on the grind, man. I finished the video for the Patreon stuff last week. I've got to post it this week. So we'll do that. And then, yeah, man, just keep on growing this thing. So I've got a bunch of client meetings this week. The end of this year, the end of our years are the busiest times, and we're crushing it, man. We're now managed 220 million, which is 20 million above the goal for this year, and yeah, we're on our way to $1 billion. So yeah, just keep on going.
It's fucking awesome, man. So right now I have to erect this thing. This is my hero board. I ordered one. It's way too big, dude. I did not need one this big. So I'm gonna take like pictures. People just like writers I like or anyone I kind of admire, and just pop the picture up there just so I always have like my little people I can look at.
Hell yeah. Man.
So I have it. So again, you talk about barriers. My barrier is a concrete wall, which I know how to do it. I just have to drill into it with a certain drill bit and put anchors in and screw it in. I hate drilling into concrete. I just have a thing against it. I'm like, I don't want to put a hole in my concrete wall. So I got to do that. That'll have to be done. I'm going for 4 workouts this week. I'm going to break my, crappy workout streak. Because I've been doing them, but I've been doing like just enough again where I just touch the workout habit, but I want to start kind of pushing myself again. 5 writing sessions spread out between my 3 various projects I'm working on. So that'll basically 15 writing sessions this week. I have to record and start doing some extra stuff I want to send to the Rhomas Patreon. What is that? Oh, I want to learn more about doing explainer vids for the psych and all stuff so I can start breaking them out in little chunks on YouTube. June, what else? Oh, then I have my other goal is centered around just research. So I'm trying to do about like an hour of research a day for the psych-knowledge learning module. And that's pretty much it. So
hell yeah, man. Dude, have you dabbled into Adobe After Effects at all?
No, that's something I gotta get into.
Dude, check it out because I want to do the same thing. So it might be nice to do it kind of in parallel, but it's great for explainer videos. Like, remember how we talked about Prezi, and obviously you're using Prezi. Adobe After Effects is like the real deal. So you can create very concise and consolidated explainer videos that like super professional. So yeah, if you ever get on that, let me know.
I'm done with absolutely. No, I will. I'm done with Prezi, man. Prezi sucks. Their customer service blows. I mean, I shouldn't smite them, but I'm done with them. And it just doesn't look as good as it possibly could. Yeah. But I'm also looking into those things that have like where you can like draw on a thing and it
Yep.
goes onto a screen. So I'm going to mix it up between that and then After Effects where I can throw pictures in, then just like draw out other concepts. So
Yeah.
that's my, I'm going to write that down there, drawing thing. So I'm going to try to do like a mix of those with images and then like voiceover. So
Hell yeah, man. Awesome
that's it,
stuff.
dude. But also,
All
yeah,
right, well, I'm
everybody,
getting my ass back to bed.
yeah, dude, go back to sleep, and everybody too. Keep it in mind, go for your wins, keep track of them, and then Friday we'll have another poll and we'll pick it. I believe Delco Jim won last week with wins of the week. Wins of the week, yeah. People voted Delco Jim. So again, 4 wins of the week. You get due to the month. Sorry, Lizzie, you can never be due to the month unless you trans. And obviously, we'll take you in the link.
Lizzie.
But if you trans, obviously, but yeah, that's the deal. So, yeah, so let's do that. Everyone get after it.
Delco Jim, big shout out, brother. Congrats, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Big win.
Hell yeah.
And Lizzie's going to transition just for this, which I admire.
I want Delco Jim to hear this. Delco Jim, I never say your name just out of respect because I haven't asked your permission to use your name, but I talk about you all the time. Like one of the things that I bring up about when people ask me like, oh, what'd you do? And what do you do on Mondays and Fridays? I tell them it's like, oh, we got this men's group. It's awesome. And I was like, just for example, there's this one guy who shows up constantly. He's putting in the work, but it started as simple as like he started setting his goals. He shaved his face. He cut his hair. He applied to a free job. So Delco Jim, thanks for being on your game, brother. You're inspiring everybody, man. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude.
All right, cool.
All right, dude. That is exactly an hour.
All right,
Later
go
on.
crush it.